This is CBS.
Hi, I'm Mike Carpenter.
And I'm Carrie Robertson. Here are some of the stories coming up this evening on Weekend Edition.
I'm Russ McCaskey. A tragic accident today at the State Fair when a worker is killed while checking on one of the rides. I'll have details.
Car trouble leads a motorist to a gruesome discovery on Oklahoma City's northeast side.
And a local shelter that normally offers help is now asking for it after Oklahoma floods. This and more next on Newsline 9.
KWTV 9, the spirit of Oklahoma.
Now, the #1 rated newscast in Oklahoma with Mike Carpenter, sports with Rich Lenz, and Alan Mitchell with the weather. This is Newsline 9 Weekend Edition.
Hello, and thank you for joining us. There's been a tragedy today at the State Fair.
An accident on a Midway ride killed a carnival worker. Now, that happened just moments after the gates of the fair opened and people were converging on the Midway. Newsline 9's Russ McCaskey has details from our newsroom. Russ, exactly what happened?
Well, Mike, rides at the fair are inspected daily, and upkeep and maintenance is performed shortly before the rides are open to the public. Police say it was during this time that the accident happened. Rides at the fair are designed to thrill and give chills. They push gravity to the limit. Certainly the Scream Machine is one of those type rides. This morning, 2 carnival workers were testing and preparing the Scream Machine for a busy Saturday of business when one of the workers was hit by the cart.
The operator noticed one of the other employees hanging around the ride. He asked him to step back. He continued to work on the machine. He released the cart and let the cart come down from the top of the machine to the bottom, and noticed the other employee was not visible. Upon checking around, he found him caught inside the machine.
Police say the 19-year-old worker was dead at the scene. His name has not been released at this time. A full investigation is underway, but a fair spokesman says preliminary indications show the deadly disaster was not the result of a machine malfunction.
Nothing whatsoever that we can tell. The ride seems totally functional and operational. I feel it was a case of neglect or whatever on the operator that was unfortunately killed.
Munn says he does not feel this has any reflection on the safety of rides at the fair. 1988 was the last time someone died in a ride-related accident. Carrie?
Thank you, Russ. Oklahoma City police are also investigating the mysterious death of a woman in northeast Oklahoma City. About 10:30 this morning, a motorist with car trouble pulled off Wilshire Boulevard near Bryant. As he was inspecting his car, he spotted the nude body of a young woman. Police say it appears she has been dead a couple of days. Authorities are hoping an autopsy will give them more clues about that death.
A late-night fire in Enid has left a 3-year-old boy dead and his mother in critical condition. The fire was reported shortly after 10 last night in an apartment complex. When firefighters arrived, they found the child dead and the mother with 2nd and 3rd-degree burns over her entire body. Police believe the fire was set intentionally. A suspect is in custody and could face 1st-degree arson and murder charges.
People in Midwest City are finally drying out from one of the worst floods in recent history. Along with trailer parks and homes, the Ark, a shelter for homeless families, was in the area that suffered the most damage. Today, volunteers and inmates for the Department of Corrections helped clean up the Ark, although most all of the food had to be tossed out.
Our pantry is downstairs, and everything is wasted and gone, and that leaves us now with a plea to the community that we need anything that they've got, preferably right now the non-perishable items.
Pearson is also asking for help from the community to help the Ark relocate on higher ground to keep from being flooded out again.
A week ago, it was a vacant lot. Today, there are 3 houses filling the same space, homes built by volunteers for Habitat for Humanity. The workers say the rain slowed them down a bit. They'd expected to have the homes finished today, but since they were nearly complete, the group held a dedication and handed the keys over to 2 families in need of homes.
Oh, I can't believe how many people showed up for all this. It's terrific. All these people volunteer their free time, and some of them take off work. I heard a bank gave their people permission to come out and work if they wanted to during the week. It was like, I just couldn't believe that so many people come together so quick.
The 3rd house is not as close to completion as the others, and the group is still waiting on another family to qualify by putting in sweat equity. The deal is that families who live in these homes are expected to put in some work in the construction or repair of other Habitat homes.
That's a good story. It's nice to see everyone pull together for something like that. Still ahead on Newsline 9, meteorologist Alan Mitchell will be along with our first day of fall forecast.
And the Sooners keep their scoring machine running as they roll over an Oklahoma foe.
celebrating a century of the Oklahoma National Guard.
And words of warning about the crisis in the Middle East from Jordan's King Hussein. More on that after this. The last planned freedom flight from Baghdad has arrived in England. The Iraqi Airlines jet was chartered by the United States and carries 55 U.S. refugees from Iraq and Kuwait. Several British, Canadian, and Dutch nationals are also aboard. From Amman today, Jordan's King Hussein went live on Cable News Network with a prepared statement to the American people.
We strongly feel that the presence of United States and allied forces on the land of the state, which is the custodian of the two holiest shrines of Islam, must be terminated within the shortest possible period of time, lest it results in incalculable grave consequences involving Arabs and Muslims the world over for generations to come.
King Hussein said critics who have accused him of playing both sides of the U.S.-Iraq conflict don't understand how complicated the situation is. He promised that Jordan will not recognize Iraq's claims on Kuwait, but says the rest of the world should realize those claims go back many years. He also denied reports from members of his own staff today that Saudi Arabia has expelled Jordanian diplomats because of King Hussein's support for Iraq.
A long note could help span the miles between U.S. soldiers in the Middle East and the rest of us here at home. One local hotel is hoping to do just that with its Long Note from Home program. Days Inn invites its guests or anyone else to drop by and sign the note. Every week, the completed part of the letter is torn off and mailed to troops via the USO. So far, most of the greetings wish the soldiers luck and a safe trip home, plus some words of encouragement and understanding from veterans who know what the troops are going through.
It began before Oklahoma was a state. Back then, it was called the Territorial Militia. Today, the Oklahoma National Guard celebrates its 100th year. Newsline 9's Kim Cook and photographer Rich Adkins were in Chandler, where it all started. They have more on the history and the changing of the Guard.
Joe McLean will know who he is. Jack is one that turned out to be a good golfer.
I used to see old Baker occasionally over at Wellston.
40 and 50 years ago, they might have been shoulder to shoulder in a foxhole. Today, they're elbow to elbow, telling tales about it.
That's made in Japan right there. Sure is. Battery A, 160 field artillery.
You never win the war, you know. You fight it several times, and believe it or not, it gets more difficult and more strenuous, and you get more brave, you know, but it's a lot of fun, you know.
These are the Oklahoma National Guardsmen of yesterday, called up to serve in World War II in Korea. They're here at Camp Chandler to celebrate the Guard's 100th year, remembering how things were and watching those who've taken their place demonstrate how things are.
I'm a gunner, and it's hard to explain to my wife what I do because she's never seen a howitzer before, and it's just something great. I wish they'd have it almost every year, an annual event, but 100th anniversary, that's pretty good.
But as they look back on the history of the Guard, these men are also thinking of the Guard members in Wewoka that will soon be leaving for Saudi Arabia.
I can reminisce, I know when we was called up in 1950, so to me it's just a remembrance all over again of what takes place. It's good for morale, it's good for patriotism. It makes us all stop and think about what America stands for.
Walker says the technology and time have changed how the Guard looks in Oklahoma, but he says come another 100 years, the feeling a soldier gets when called to serve the country will probably always be the same. Kim Cook, Newsline 9.
Well, this is it, the last day of summer, Mike.
Which means the first day of fall is just a few hours away now. Allie Mitchell is next with our forecast.
Stay with us.
Summer is shortly over.
I'm telling you, it's winding down.
When is it exactly over?
It begins here, or fall begins here tonight, tomorrow morning at 1:55.
Well, today was beautiful.
Wasn't it, though?
It feels like fall.
It does, and we've got cooler weather on the way. How about that?
Good. We're ready for it.
All right. But, you know, in spite of the cool weather, or at least the cooler weather that's coming, if you were out in the sun today, you could have burned very, very quickly. I'll show you our sensor reading in just a moment after we check our current conditions now here in the city. Coming in at 80 degrees, winds are out of the north at 16 miles per hour. Humidity's down only 41%, and the barometer is holding steady now at 30.19 inches. Checking out the sensor. First, we'll check out the tower camera. Looking out on the second race day out at Remington Park. Yeah, it looks like a packed house out there today. Now then, our sensor reading looks this way. Came in the highest we've had since we've been taking the readings, folks. And what's happened is, we had the rain and then a cold front came in and it's kind of cleaned the atmosphere out, and that allows the ultraviolet B rays, which is what we're measuring here. And the highest reading we've had so far, 97. And that means if you're a skin type 1, 20 minutes out in the afternoon sun today, you could have a severe burn. And skin type 5, 83 minutes. So don't let the cooler weather fool you a little bit. You still need to use some sunblock if you're going to be out in the afternoon sunshine. 96 the record high, 45 the record low. Almost a normal day here in Oklahoma City. 60 our normal. We had a 59, and the afternoon high just where we should be for this time of year, 82. Around the state right now, checking some temperatures. Let's see, we've got 79 from Ponca City, Enid at 77, 80 from Lawton as well as Durant. And once again here in Oklahoma City, 80 degrees, 81 in McAllister out in the west, 76 from Gage. And Altus now, 83 degrees there as well. The winds are averaging northerly at about 10 to 15 miles an hour across most of the state. Here's our satellite movie. This will take us back about 12 hours ago. As it goes into motion, not a whole lot to really look at. Quite a bit of storminess, though, down through parts of Texas. That's where the frontal system is now lying. Quite a bit of heavy thunderstorm activity there. But elsewhere up through the northern plains, clear skies coming in, and that shows lots of high pressure building in. And what that says for us is just generally nice weather coming up for the next few days. We don't really see any drastic changes at all. Anything that would bring any type of precipitation to us anyway coming up at least for the next several days. Here's tomorrow's forecast map. Up in Denver, they'll be nice there at 77 as well as Albuquerque. High pressure settling in over Oklahoma. 82 down to Dallas. 62 up at Kansas City tomorrow. They are to be about 53, heating up in Billings, 83 there for a high tomorrow, 82 out in Los Angeles, and headed east out of Oklahoma. Just beautiful weather, 72 coming in there from Memphis, it looks like. Now, and here's our 5-day forecast. For the metro area, a little bit on the cool side in the morning, around 53 degrees. Factor in about a 10 or 15 mile an hour wind with that, and I tell you, it's going to feel in the upper 30s tomorrow morning across a large portion of the state. So if you're going to be out early in the morning, a jacket, sweater, or something would be advisable. A high of 74, though, under lots of sunshine tomorrow. 79 on Monday. We'll begin to warm back up, though, to a little bit higher than where we should be maybe for this time of year, but it's still not bad. Temperatures there into the mid-80s. Here's our forecast now for the state for tonight. Fair and cool, lows from 48 in the northwest to 55 in the southeast. And for tomorrow, the first day of fall across Oklahoma, sunny skies, mild conditions, temperatures in the 70s all across Oklahoma, northeasterly winds about 10 to 20 miles per hour. And for the metro area, cool tonight, cool in the morning, but I think we can just call it mild tomorrow afternoon, about 74 degrees, and that's kind of a welcome relief after the 100-degree readings we had just in the not too distant past.
For those of us who are going to be riding our bicycles in the Hefner Streak at 8 a.m. in the morning out at Lake Hefner.
Dress warmly, it's going to be cool.
About what?
Oh, about 55 with, once again, the wind, though, will make it feel quite a bit cooler, like I said, in the upper 30s, maybe 40 degrees.
But the really heavy-duty cyclists, they'll probably like that.
Oh, that'd be great racing weather, I would think. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
And ahead in sports, is the Southeast Conference about to expand? Rich Lenz will have more on that.
And the Sooners mix it up against Tulsa.
Yes, their passing looked very good. I'm Bill Teagans, and I'll be back with a live report from Norman coming up next in sports.
Well, Rich, I don't mind that 52-10 score being an OU grad.
Well, I suppose not. And over 50 for the second week in a row, too.
Now, last week they were playing a team that was almost as well-ranked as they were.
Right.
This week, people kind of expect this to be a little more lopsided.
Right, but they'll take it. They like winning by 40 over there. It took 3 games to do it, but today against Tulsa, the Sooners truly mixing the run with the pass on a consistent basis. Perhaps a new era of football at Oklahoma has finally arrived as the Sooners beat Tulsa 52-10. Bill Teagans joins us now from Norman to talk about the win. Bill?
Rich, I tell you, it was an absolutely beautiful day for football and for the Sooners after kind of a sluggish start. When all was said and done, Oklahoma had that 52-10 victory over Tulsa, and that much talked about passing game played a key role today. Let's take a look at some of the highlights. And Oklahoma got going early. Steve Collins, the quarterback, threw the ball 19 times, completed 8 of them, including this 8-yarder to Arthur Guess. Oklahoma up 7-0. Sooners picked off 2 passes today, including this one coming up by Terry Ray And watch this return. Makes a nice play of it and then just takes off 26 yards before he's finally stopped. But looks like a running back there. Terry Ray, a nice return. That set up still another Collins to Guest touchdown pass. This one covers 19 yards. Oklahoma led 14-0 in the first quarter. Sooners 202 yards passing today. Gus Farrat, the redshirt freshman, the guy replacing the injured T.J. Rubley, to Frank Casano, a former quarterback, 55 yards on this play. Tulsa back in it at 14-7. After a 49-yard field goal from R.D. Lasher, Ike Lewis scored from 6 yards out. Oklahoma up 24-7 at halftime. Second half, Steve Collins scores this time on his own. Fakes the pitch, goes in from 2 yards out, 31-7. Mike McKinley bulls his way into the end zone, 38-7. At that point, Ted Long showed some nice balance on this run. The coaches want to get him the ball more often. Today he went 17 yards for the score, 45-7 after 3 quarters. Fourth quarter, Duell Brewer, 7 yards for the score, 452 yards total offense. Oklahoma won at 52-10, and Gary Gibbs felt OU got back in its game after a slow start.
Second half, after some adjustments by our offensive staff and great execution by our offensive team, came out and did a great job. I felt like the second half offense had a chance to play a lot of players, and that was good to see.
And again, 52-10 was the final. Oklahoma opens the Big 8 season next week, taking on Kansas right here in Norman. Reporting live from Norman, I'm Bill Teagan, Sportsline 9.
Thanks, Bill. Now, Ed Murray is down in Fort Worth, Texas, getting set for the kickoff there between Oklahoma State and TCU, and we'll hear from Ed tonight on the Scoreboard Show. But right now, let's hear from head coach Pat Jones. He has a very impressive record down in the Lone Star State. He has never lost a football game in the state of Texas. And, of course, having Texas-bred talent on his team helps a lot.
A lot of these guys were recruited by TCU. Some of their players we recruited here and that sort of thing. So I think it's a little bit different. There's a little bit different, I think, mentality about us once we do go into Texas to play.
I'm a little nervous about it because probably, I've got 100 people probably going to be there. And probably 90% of them, it's going to be the only time they ever see me play. So, I got to have a good game for those people going to see me.
Well, a New Orleans newspaper is reporting that South Carolina will become the 12th member of the Southeastern Conference. The Times-Picayune says that announcement will be made early next week. The SEC is also courting the University of Miami for membership in that conference. Meanwhile, big day for the state of Michigan as both state schools play at home. The Spartans hosting top-ranked Notre Dame. Todd Murray with the block. That's a safety. At one point, State leading 19-7. But then late in the third quarter, Ricky Waters is going to score his second touchdown of the afternoon. And then the luck of the Irish. This pass by Rick Meyer is going to bounce off the shoulder pads here, and it's caught on the 2-yard line. Unbelievable. That sets up the 1-yard go-ahead touchdown by Rodney Culver. Touchdown Notre Dame. Final score, they pull it out. Notre Dame 20, Michigan State 19. BYU all over San Diego State 62-34. 288 yards rushing for John Vaughn. Michigan beats UCLA. Nebraska 56, Minnesota nothing. Virginia shutting down Duke. Sean Moore 3 TD passes. Oklahoma big winner. Then the upset of the day, Arkansas beaten by Mississippi 21-17. Illinois over Southern Illinois. Clemson 48, Appalachian State nothing. It's Florida beating Furman 27-3. And Syracuse and Pittsburgh playing to a 20-20 tie. Baseball now in the American League East, a dead heat between Boston and Toronto. The Red Sox get rained on in New York. The game is underway now, but Cleveland and Toronto are able to finish up their contest. Kelly Gruber is going to slam his career-high 29th home run here. He also doubled and tripled this afternoon. But then in the 6th inning, Candy Maldonado of the Indians and Chris James will hit back-to-back home runs. There she goes. And the Blue Jays stumble again to the scoreboard. Final score, Cleveland 5, Toronto 2. Then after 3, Boston, New York, no score, so the Sox now a half game in front of Toronto. KC over California 4-3, and after 6, Detroit and Oakland are all knotted up. Over in the National League, the Pirates begin the day 3.5 games in front of the Mets. Barry Bonds cracks his 33rd home run in the 6th inning to tie the game up at 2 apiece. But then in the 8th inning, Stan Belinda is going to walk in the winning run with the bases loaded. He also yielded a run on a wild pitch, and that's the difference. Final score in this one, St. Louis 3, Pittsburgh 2, and then New York beating Chicago 11-5, so the Bucks are now 2.5 in front of the Mets. Boy, what a day for golf. Just perfect out at the Oak Tree Country Club this afternoon for the second round of the Daily Oklahoman Open. So you knew there'd be more red numbers on the leaderboard than on an SNL bailout ledger, and sure enough, Willie Wood, 64 today. He is at -9. Gil Morgan next at -6. Danny Edwards, Bob May, and Dave Edwards, they are all near the leaderboard. Another big day at Remington Park. Let's take a look at the final results in the second race, and this is Beck's Bad Boy, I guess, like the beer. Beck's Bad Boy is going to hold off and win this race, and he will take it, and well, good. We have time to show the results there. He pays $11 to win. The important thing here, I'll just give you the quick total here, 21,000 out at the park this afternoon, and that is the all-time record for the fall meet. They bet $1.7 million.
All right. Thank you very much, Rich. We'll be back in a moment.
Teachers from Medill, El Reno, Jinx, and Ardmore are among winners of a top federal teaching honor, the Presidential Awards for Excellence in Science and Mathematics Teaching. Jody Colson, Karen Reed, Denise Slack, and Beverly McMillan will travel next month to Washington, D.C., where they each will receive a $7,500 grant that will go back into their schools.
And that's our news. We'll see you here again at 10 o'clock.
Bye-bye.
Hairstyles provided by Phil Logsdon's. Newsline 9 is the #1 rated newscast in Oklahoma.